Monocles and Merkins.
Take one.
Okay, here's the word.
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig?
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't shake!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Wear it while you masturbate!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
15th!
Start it over. Why can't you? Come on.
Wonder why?
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
I have to go pee. Like,
Okay, do it quick. Do it.
Oh my god!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
15th century wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig?
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't chafe!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Wear it while you masturbate!
No, where are we at? Yeah. Okay, do it. Hold on. Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
Fuck!
Okay, well. Alright. Okay.
I thought I was ready! Oh god, okay. Come on, Heather.
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
15th century wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wigs!
Jesus.
Oh my god! Oh!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig!
Monocles and Merkins, monocles and Merkins.
You didn't bring the words up! You didn't bring the words!
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig?
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't chafe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it while you masturbate. La 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 la.
Ma, 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 ma. Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't chafe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it while you masturbate. La 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 la.
Ma, 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 Monocles, Merkins, Merkins. Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Merkins. Okay, but that's good. We're on to something here.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't chafe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it while you masturbate.
Bah, 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 bah. Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Pubic.
And Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
15th century pubic wigs.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
How I love my pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
What? You don't have a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Buy yourself a pubic wig.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Merkins all are dishwash safe.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Condition it so you don't chief.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it on your Tinder date.
Monocles and Merkins, Monocles and Merkins.
Wear it